200 AD. It had been barely a century and a half since the world's greatest empire first set foot in Britain. Battle after battle, the legions of Rome subdued this mythical island fortress. Big cities filled with elaborate amphitheaters, hippodromes, bathhouses, and every edifice known to Roman architecture gradually appeared all over Britain. Now, at the very turn of the 3rd century, the province is thriving. Indeed, less impressive than Roman Alexandria, Londinium and Eboracum still captivate the eye with their splendor. Latin and Celtic speech pervades the streets of the urban landscape. Lavish villas, no different than the ones a traveler would see in Tuscany or Capua, fill the British countryside. Even in the deep interior of the province, where Latin is still a foreign language, buildings have tiled roofs and households enjoy luxury items like wheel-turned pottery shipped from as far as Africa. Life in Roman Britannia is peaceful and somewhat detached from the mainland. Occasional raids of wild painted warriors from the north are the most significant inconvenience for the local populace. Yet a massive wall, built close to a century ago by Emperor Hadrian, provides security from the savage northern tribes. 500 AD. It had been barely a century since a governor appointed by Rome last resided in Britain. The empire that controlled these lands for over 350 years is now, at best, a corrupted memory. Hailing from the inhospitable peninsula of Jutland, hordes of seafaring nomads gradually settled the eastern coast of Britain. Far detached from their former prosperous past, the remnants of the local Roman and Celtic population had quickly adopted the newcomers' Germanic language and pagan religion. Not a single inhabited city remains in these lands. Londinium and Eboracum are now ghost towns. The new Anglo-Saxon settlers live no differently than their kin back in Denmark. Life along the eastern coast is unforgiving. The land is infertile, famines are a regular sight, while raids and violent clashes are the norm. The ability to write and read is virtually non-existent, while the elaborate stone and concrete buildings have now been replaced by wooden shacks. The impressive Roman ruins mean nothing to these newcomers, for these hardy people know no luxury. The aqueducts, temples, and basilicas are no different than the mountains, forests, and hills. They are simply standing there, relics of a far-gone time. Perhaps the gods built them. Who knows? 540 AD. Sitting in a dimly lighted monastery chamber, a Britannic monk named Gildas tirelessly works on what would become the first preserved written source on post-Roman Britain. Highly inaccurate and full of slander against the petty kings of Britain, Gildas's manuscript is nonetheless of immense value. The title of this vital work is no less intriguing: On the Ruin and Conquest of Britain. While much of the native population on Britain's eastern coast submitted to the pagan newcomers, to the west along the shores of the Irish Sea, Britons and Romans refused to bend a knee. Home to numerous Britannic kingdoms, Western Britain eventually became a place of refuge for those who decided to flee from the scourge of the Saxons. These Celtic princedoms are now, ironically, the last remnants of Romanness on the island. Here, the memory of Rome still lives on. Aware of their home's former glory, the predominantly Christian nobility of Wales, Cornwall, and Western England resist the Anglo-Saxon onslaught. In his writings, Gildas tells the epic story of Roman and Celtic heroes who fought against the pagan barbarians. The name of one man captivates the interest of academics to this day: Ambrosius Aurelianus, a name that is as Roman as it gets, leading many to suggest that this individual may very well have been a descendant of an emperor. Ambrosius is credited with creating one of the first resistance movements on the island. setting the stage for a struggle that would culminate around 500 AD when Britons from all corners of the island met the Saxons near the present-day town of Bath. Facing each other close to a hill named Baden, the opposing men did not know they were the first to participate in a rivalry that would last for over 1,000 years. A feud that would end with the total subjugation of the island by the descendants of the pagan newcomers. For the time, though, fate favored the Celts, and the battle ended in a defeat for the Saxons. Later, chroniclers would attribute this Christian victory to none other than King Arthur himself. For a moment, peace and stability finally began appearing back on the impoverished island of Britain. But then, 536 AD. Dense dust clouds have been restlessly covering the sun for over a year. Crops fail, famine sets in, and a cold winter delivers the next blow to the island's impoverished population. Historians still argue about the cause of this worldwide environmental disaster. Believed to be the result of a massive volcanic eruption, this event likely caused civilizations from as far as the Americas to collapse. For the Christians of 6th century Britain, however, the reason behind this suffering was God's anger. Their kings and clergy's greed and decadence led to all of this: the natural disaster, the invasion of the Anglo-Saxons, and then, when everyone expected it the least, the spread of a deadly disease. Around 541, the infamous Black Death made its first appearance, an infection that would torment the world for a millennium to come. Britain's population was on its knees. Its people witnessed one of the most apocalyptic downfalls in human history. Now, even heroes like Ambrosius or King Arthur can't save them. History has repeatedly shown that disasters often pave the road for future growth. As the 6th century progressed, the plague gradually diminished, the weather returned to its normal state, and the squabbles between the multiple petty kingdoms on the island resumed. After a century of disastrous downfall, the anticipated period of recovery finally began. Thanks for sticking around till the end. This channel exists thanks to the generous support of our patrons. The production of these videos takes a tremendous amount of time and resources, so if you wish, you can become a patron for as little as $1 per month. This has been History Rhymes, and I will see you on the next one.